almost a metaphor for getting on well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in Waiting Forever, I harmonised a lot with Zoe Owen, who is a great musician. I think, it's a real pleasure to harmonise with somebody who has a similar kind of, or whose voice suits yours, who goes together well with yours. Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys is probably my musical idol.
Right.
They were all about harmonies, especially Pet Sounds and beyond.
Did you ever hear Smile?
I did, and in fact I went to Tea in the Park in, I think, 2002, and Brian Wilson was playing there. And played.
Oh, because he remade it on his own,
right,
didn't he? Because it was a Beach Boys album.
Yeah. And then seeing Brian Wilson playing Tea in the Park was probably the best gig I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Really kind of moving and inspiring.
Have you heard any of the Pet Sounds outtakes?
Yeah, I think so. They're on the internet, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's one, Wouldn't It Be Nice, and he's rehearsing the band, and it's just wonderful. It's the instrumental, and then
he's like a conductor, isn't he?
He's like a conductor, exactly, and he knows his stuff. Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And it was obviously just before he lost the plot, basically, because he's very coherent.
I mean, that's the kind of person that really interests me. Geniuses, people who just do things on their own terms and completely uniquely.
How do you define a genius? Do you think it's like an overused term, and there are many geniuses around? Or
no, I think maybe underused. Actually, I think there are. Shall I answer it? I'll answer it, and we can record it. Okay. Well, hopefully see you tonight then. Ciao. Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a 91% chance. Okay. See you soon. Ciao.
Where were we?
So we were talking about
Brian Wilson.
something really interesting, before we were rudely interrupted. It's
We
funny we
finished
had
with
a device that had recorded it and we could rewind.
Yes.
Oh, you were asking me about the definition of genius.
Oh yeah, that's it. And you said it's underused. Go from there.
Yeah, I think, I believe in multiple intelligences. Some people are very good at mathematical and traditional intelligence and that kind of thing.
And there's at least 9. There's a lot of that in English
9,
books,
well,
aren't
10 or 11 according to some people,
Yeah.
We talk about existential intelligence and stuff as well is one of them. But anyway, I think everybody's got a combination of each of them. Nobody's particularly stupid or intelligent all round. But so you got some people who are really amazing with visuals, and some people who are really amazing with sounds, and other people with numbers, and so I think there are geniuses all around us. People who are exceptional in one particular area. What do you think?
Tricky one really. I think it's just one of those words that
it has lost its meaning a bit from abuse.
Well, I'm a bit of a sort of student of language, not only being an English teacher, but I'm fascinated by the way it's used politically. And I won't go into that tangent now, but I think it's just a word, really. But I think
no, I disagree. It's not a word.
It's not just a word. No, I don't know. I think it would have to be something innate. I mean, let's take someone like Jimi Hendrix. A few facts about Jimi Hendrix. He played guitar all day. His manager attested to that. And he also learned a lot. He did hours and hours and hours on this thing called the Chitlin circuit. He was backing soul musicians and some famous people for years and years and years. So, if you just heard him and you didn't know any of that, you'd say, oh, this guy's supernatural or something. And I think there's definitely something in it. So, I don't know.
Well, I've always thought success is a combination of luck and talent and hard work, in different amounts. But hard work's maybe the most important one, isn't it? Like just putting in the hours.
Yeah, but if you think of, I don't know if you're into football, but you think of someone like George Best. I know he didn't have a very long career, but you look at the clips. I mean, apparently he didn't really train much.
But he was still super talented despite his lack of training.
Yeah.
I mean, if only there was a word for that, for somebody who...
What's the word? 6 letters. Anyway, this is really degenerated. Performing. Now, tell me how...
Oh yeah, performing's quite an interesting one.
Well, apart from... I've sort of said this to everyone, but apart from the idea that, you could, in theory, have a career, etc., why do you perform otherwise? Or how do you feel when you perform?
Well, recently it's been really thrilling to perform because we've had a good reception, and it's been a real climax to the last few months of writing and jamming. And it feels like therapy is the bottom line. It feels amazing to communicate through the medium of song.
When you're on stage and if people are singing a song you've written, how much of that is an ego thing, and how much of it is just joy because you're connected with people? Because I maintain that my main reason is to connect with people. Because if I was on there and everyone was kind of gushing over me, I don't think I'd really like it, to be honest. Because there's always a bit of shy. Most performers have a little bit of shyness, even if it's just 10%, and it's introversion, and it comes out.
It's nice when people come up to you afterwards and say, "I enjoyed that song."
Yeah, because it's connection.
And people don't
made
really.
Someone happy.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I know it from the other side of the stage as well. If I hear a song on the stage, and I'm like, "Oh, that's brilliant! I'm so glad I came out tonight just because I heard this one song."
Yeah.
And then I've approached musicians and said, "That was great, nice one." And so I know how it feels from both sides. When there's a genuine compliment, and the only correct response, I think, is thanks. It was fun to play,
and we appreciate it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it is. That's the bottom line. Is it's just fun to play, and then it's nice when people clap and enjoy the songs, and it's nice to jam. The whole thing's just a hobby. It's supposed to be fun, but it's art, as you say. It's creativity, and it's an outlet for if you've got the desire to make something or do something or express yourself.
Do you get nervous, or do you feel quite calm when you're up there? Or?
Yeah, always calm.
Right.
I never get last minute jitters. I kind of get adrenaline rushes and stuff. But on the stage it's always just a thrill. Really, it's always fun to play. And,
Did you used to get nervous?
That's all I want to do. All I want to do is play.
Did you used to get nervous when you started? Or?
Yeah, the first time I ever played an open mic, I sang Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World, but I kind of whispered it into the microphone, and I was like about 12 inches away from the mic, so embarrassingly somebody came up and moved the mic closer to my mouth while I was singing. So the second time I played, I vowed to remedy the situation, to make up for it. So I screamed into the microphone a composition of mine called I'm Never Drinking Again, and then I lost my job at the bar because of that.
Do you know the science of nerves? Do you know what actually happens?
No, but
would you like to tell you?
Yeah, it sounds quite interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's related to brain activity.
Well, what do you think it is? Tell me what you reckon.
Well, I'd guess the science of nerves is that in maybe evolutionary or instinctively we get the fight or flight instinct.
Spot on, very good.
I must have seen it in a documentary.
I'll give you an A for that. Physically it's basically because there's some sort of agitation in the nervous system, particularly the first time you play or whatever. And the fight or flight mechanism kicks in, and the adrenaline starts pumping. But then mentally what happens is that when you know how to do something very well, you get what's called expert amnesia, which means you forget how to do it because you don't need it.
You forget your fear, you mean? Or
you forget. Well, it's like speaking a language.
Yeah.
If you're a native speaker, you don't have to think before you speak. We can just speak, right? Yeah. So we've got what's called expert amnesia, which means you forget how to do it because you don't need to know how to do it. But then when you get this nerves thing, suddenly you think, oh shit, and you have to try and remember. And let's give an easy example that most people can relate to. When you're sort of 16 and the first time you go and talk to one of the opposite sex.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly, I don't know if this happened to you, but suddenly you don't know how to talk basically, and you have to try and remember.
I think that still happens to me.
Yeah. But no, I mean something like sport is another good example. There's a famous snooker game years ago, 30 years ago now. Everyone stayed up till 1 o'clock, and it went to the final black. And Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor,
right, yeah.
One of the best matches ever, but partly because they forgot how to play snooker.
I remember that.
Terrible frame.
Yeah. They were both going for the black or something at the end, and they were just knocking it around as if they were beginners.
But the last frame took nearly an hour.
Yeah. What was it that affected Steve Davis and
I don't know if there's a name. I don't know.
But it's definitely a phenomenon that I'm familiar with. Yeah, I mean,